Just running through a few and then you're going to try some. Letters A, B, and C. These are being multiplied. I do the inverse and divide. They cancel out. X comes down, I get 7. Letter B, I have to get A by itself, so I multiply by 5 on both sides. My 5's cancel. A comes down, I get negative 60. And letter C, my X is there with the coefficient of 3/5. To get that to go away, I multiply by the inverse of 5 over 3. And that's really what I did here, 5 over 1, where that's the coefficient. But I multiply by 5 over 3. 3's cancels, 5 cancels, X comes down. And then I can do a little bit of canceling out over here, and I get X equals 10. With all of these, you can substitute them back in to check them, and you will see if you got the right answers. All right, take a minute. You can pause this for a second if you'd like. Just pause the video. I will put the answers up here and you can check and see how you did. If you don't get the right answers, maybe take another look at them, okay? Okay, maybe you're paused, maybe you're unpaused. Answer here, A is going to equal 11, subtract 16. Number 2, B is going to equal negative 15. And number 3, X is going to equal negative 38. Number 4, X is going to equal negative 13. Number 5, X is going to equal 60. And number 6, M is going to equal 56. Okay? Alrighty. In the 2004 Olympics, Shawn Crawford won the 200-meter dash. His winning time was 19.79 seconds. 19.79 seconds. Find his average speed to the nearest tenth of a meter per second. Write an equation and solve. So they're actually giving us the formula to use. Distance equals rate times time. The distance covered is 200 meters. The rate we do not know. They want to know meter per second. That per indicates we're talking about a rate. And the time, they tell us his time was 19.79. 1979 hundredths. So we need to get R by itself. So the inverse operation is going to be to divide. We're going to divide both left and right by 19.79. Those 19.79s cancel out. Ooh. R comes down. There we go. And what we have to do on the side, scratch work, is divide 200 by 19.79. We know we have to move our decimal point over 2 places and bring it straight up. I am not going to divide this out, but you would get 10.1 da 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 da. I can stop at that because the answer says to the nearest tenth. So my answer is rate of 10.1 meters per second. Okay, that's pretty fast. All right, that's lesson 3.1. There are some homework questions from it. I'd like to move on though right now. We have 2 pages of section 3.2 and we'll cover those pretty quickly. So, oh, if I keep going to the wrong page, let's see. There we go. Okay, so solving 2-step equations now. We want to get the variables by themselves. So these ones are going to involve a little bit more work, but by no means anything you can't tackle. First thing we need to do when you identify your variable, you want to get rid of the other term that's with it. So if this is being multiplied, anything being multiplied or divided has to come last. So like here, anything closest to the variable has to come second. But first you have to get rid of this 7. So this is a plus 7. I'm going to subtract 7. 3x comes down. That cancels out. 19 minus 7 is going to give me 12. Now I've broken it down into a 1-step equation. I divide both sides by 3, cancel out, x is going to equal 4. And again, I can substitute this back in. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 7 is 19. It worked. I am going to be looking for these steps, just like you've been doing all along and showing me when you solve equations. That's what I'm looking to see. Okay. So let's take a look at this next one. X is being divided by 8. Before we can tackle that, we need to get rid of that 11, that loose hanging 11 that's on that side there by this equal sign, which is a wall. X over 8 comes down, negative 24. It's a negative. Minus 11 is going to give me negative 35, which case I need to multiply both sides by 8 over 1, or just 8. To get that x by itself, my 8's cancel, x comes down, and I find negative 280. Should be my answer. Okay? All right, let's try 2 more together, and then I'll put the answers up for the guided practice. each side of an equation is really an expression. So an equation is just an expression separated by an equal sign to another expression. So if ever you can simplify either expression, just like we did last section, 2.5, you want to do that. So here we can combine 4a and 3a and we get 7a. And now 7a equals 63. So we're going to go ahead and divide both sides by 7. Our inverse operation of multiplying is to divide. A equals 9. Okay? And letter B, like terms here. So I can keep this as negative 4x. Divide both sides by negative 4. My negative 4's cancel out. I get 1x. Negative 4 equals x. And I'm going to ask that you put the variable first when you write your final answer. This is not wrong, but it's not good math practice either. So, all right. So here's another place. If you'd like to pause it, you can do that so you can work through some of these. And when you're ready, you can unpause it and look at the answers again. Oh, before that, my mistake. If you can change number 1, make this 7k minus 16 equals 12. Otherwise, it's not going to come out to a nice answer. 7k minus 16 equals 12. Now you can go ahead and pause. Okie dokes. These are the answers. For the first one, you're going to get, if once you've changed this, you're going to get k equals 4. For number 2, you're going to get x equals 28. And number 3 is going to give you a decimal, x equals negative 6.6. Number 4, you're going to find that w is equal to 8. Number 5, you're going to find m is equal to 9. And number 6, you're going to get y equal to negative 7. Okay? If you need to look over any of those, please do check them out to make sure you understand what it was that you missed, if you missed anything. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more problems, and then you guys are done for today. And you've been awesome, and I haven't even been there. Example 3, the output of a function is 2 more than 4 times the input. Find the input when the output is 14. So remembering that input, oh, I keep doing that. Input is what goes into our copy machine, the x's. Output is what comes out of our copy machine, the y's. Domain, range, we talked about all of that in the first chapter. It says the output, or y, is equal to the output of a function, so here's our function, is 2 more than 4 times the input. So 4 times the input, 2 more than that. We put 2 more at the end. So 4x plus 2 is our equation. Then they ask us to find the input when the output is 14. So when y is 14, we have to find the input. 14 is equal to 4x plus 2. We're going to solve this two-step equation by subtracting 2 on both sides. 4x comes down, I get 12. And then my inverse operation is to divide by, I was already doing the answer. Subtract 2 on both sides. I get 4x is equal to 12, and then divide both sides by 4. They cancel out, x equals 3. Okay? And step 3, because it's always a good idea to check, is to take your answer and go back in and substitute it in for x. So does it end up that 14 is equal to the right side of our equation when we substitute 3 in for x, and we find 12 plus 2, 14 it is. So that is a solution. We did it correct. So we have found that when the output is 17, the input, or 14, the input is 3. An input of 3 produces an output of 14. Can you guys try number 7, guided practice, on your own, please? Okay, here's the answer. If you paused it, you can check it out now. You should have had time to work on it. 5 plus negative 2x, but I'm going to rewrite it because it says it's 5 more than. So my equation should end up being y is equal to negative 2x plus 5. When I solved the equation, my output was 11, so 11 equaled negative 2x plus 5. I worked it out, and I found that x is equal to negative 3. And then lastly, let's check it. I'm going to go ahead and substitute negative 3 in for this equation, x, and see if it does equal 11. So negative 2 times negative 3 plus 5. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. I get 11 equals 11. We did it correctly, so that means an input of negative 3 produces an output of 11. Okay, so it's good use of the terminology there. Last one, and then your practice. You order iris bulbs from a catalog. Iris bulbs cost you 90 cents each. The shipping charge is $2.50. If you have $18.50 to spend, how many iris bulbs can you order? Write an equation and solve. Let x equal the number of iris bulbs. On your test, if you didn't label, I was looking for that, so please make sure you do use that. If they don't say it like this, make sure you at some point say it like this. So write an equation. They're telling us that y is going to equal, or I'm sorry, that we have a total of $18.50 to spend. That's our y. That's our total output we are able to put out. Now, each iris bulb is going to cost us 90 cents. So we're going to do 0.90 times x. You don't need to put that 0 there, but you're welcome to. And then the shipping charge is $2.50. So this should be our equation. Now we're going to solve it. I'm going to drop the extra zeros, and I'm going to subtract 2.5 first because I need to get this x on its own, and the 0.9 right at the moment is like stuck to it. So I get 16. 16 equals 0.9x. I'm going to divide by 0.9. So that means on this side, the scratch work that you're doing should look something like this. Move this over, bring the decimal point up. And when you divide, you're going to get 17.7 repeating. 17.7 repeating is what x equals. But they're asking us how many bulbs can we actually buy. So we don't quite have enough for 18, so our answer would be just 17 iris bulbs. Okay? 17. And then they ask us to check it. So in this case, we're going to substitute 17 in for 0.90. And when we do that, if we work it out, we see that we'll find that we have a little bit, not much, but a little bit of extra money, which is good because you'd rather have extra money than not enough. So this gave us 18.50 is equal to $15.30 plus $2.50. I'm going to add those two values together. I get 1850 is equal to 1780. Now obviously they're not equal, so we wouldn't want to put an inequality sign or a squiggle at the very least, but we see that we have not gone over and we do not have enough. We don't have 90 cents to go and buy another one. So 17 iris bulbs is the max that we're able to get. All right? Okay, if you could try the very last one for me about Kim and her job. Take a look at it. Unpause this when you're ready to go. Okay, Kim has a job where she makes $8 per hour plus tips. Yesterday, Kim made set $53, 13 of which was from tips. How many hours did she work? Write an equation, solve, and they're labeling and identifying the variable x to be the number of hours worked. So she made a total of $53. 13 of that was from tips alone. Now each hour, anytime they have the per, that's where your variable goes most often. So it's going to be 8x plus the flat rate 13. When you solve this, you should find that x is going to equal 5. So that means 5 hours is how many hours she worked. And then we want to check it. Does 53 equal 8 times 5 plus 13? 8 times 5 is 40 plus 13, 53. We have a winner. Okay? Nice job, guys. Homework's listed on the sideboard. Any questions, feel free to email me. And I look forward to seeing you Tuesday. Have a good one. Bye-bye.